Hey, Jason. Good afternoon. It is Sunday. I think it's the 8th, if I'm not mistaken. I was responding to your post. I want to thank you for taking that time to share with us. Um, I was very much intrigued by what you had to share. Um, I can only imagine, first of all, how difficult it was to um, have to grow up in two separate households. The You didn't really elaborate in your post about that. I can only imagine it was perhaps in part due to the substance use of your mother, but also just there seemed to be a dynamic tension there. I understand that you also were trying to seek solace in achievement in sports, and that became your out for a lot of what was going on um, in your home life. Um, it was so discouraging to hear that after graduation you were kicked out and your mother wound up in a homeless shelter. I'm wondering if she has since recovered from her addiction. I know that we graduated in 2010, so that's now 14 years ago. If she had succumbed to her illness, um, and if what the lasting impact has been on your psychosocial development and your relationship with her, and also your relationship with your father once he asked you to leave. Um, I'm glad that you had the outlet of friendships. I'm wondering if they were tangential to the sports, or if they were integrated into the sports. Excuse me, uh, development. Um, I see that also you were of Middle Eastern descent, if I heard that correctly or read that correctly on your PowerPoint presentation. I'm wondering was the what was the consequence of having a an Asian or Middle Eastern ideology um, and cultural background upon your approach to or your response to your parents' addiction or their engagement in addiction? Was there a not merely a systemic issue in terms of the family system, but was there a social, cultural issue that had to be overcome and perhaps still needs to be overcome? Um, I noticed also that when you were seeking solace in travel, um, I'm probably overthinking this, but I was wondering if it's not just the opportunity to get away to explore, but to explore an environment which is far different from your own. Um, I know after college um, uh, you met your wife, who's also struggled with her family has also struggled with some mental health afflictions. Yours with substance abuse disorder and perhaps uh, a grief response asking you to leave the house, and then with your wife having struggled with a family member who had schizophrenia. It seemed like the two of you were naturally woven together in terms of your experience and even your need to escape the baggage of your family system. Um, what was it that caused you, if I may ask, to pursue business? Because you felt that you were unsatisfied, but you were very successful, and then you saw what your wife was going through. She pursued her doctorate in psychology, and you lived. This was lived experience with you. You lived essentially vicariously her therapeutic engagements as you watched her process. Um, you were immersed in an environment of care. Um, was this, do you think, a means of compensating for the traumatic childhood, and have you been able to reconcile that? You Because it's not that you escaped, but you did segue, you did pivot, as it were, and try to process your own experiences, and yet embracing your own identity. Um, I Being a person of faith, I think it's amazing how serendipity or intervention can orchestrate things in such a way that um, you would meet a partner with whom you would have such not merely an emotional closeness, but also an ideological uh, shared experience. and now a shared role in caregiving. You are truly helpmates. Um, I'm wondering if in the process of this you have, uh, and again, I may be overthinking, fully processed the trauma which you've gone through. If there has been moving through those stages of grief, if you've finally come to a full acceptance and even administered or bequeathed a grace to your mother, to your father. Um, and if your wife has equally said, understanding that mental health is, we don't choose our family, we don't choose the mental health issues with which we struggle, but it does define us. It defines our lived experience. It defines our ability to how we orient ourselves to life. I know in this particular assignment, we were asked to see what different disparate cultures do we embrace, and I think that the fact is, as as clinicians, or whether we're or as who are approaching licensure, as it were, we we each come from a despair. We have a shared cultural experience. So far, everyone I've listened to has had shared trauma. There has been a sense of rejection, either of sexual identity. There's been a sense of reject. There has been living through emotional trauma, emotional abuse, physical abuse. We have a we share a like culture, a culture of trauma, a culture of a mental the culture of mental health is one that I would wish on no one, but so many of us have to struggle through. Um, I'm often wondering if we can truly be good clinicians if A, we haven't had the lived experience of having suffered through mental health crises, either ourselves or or tangentially through our or vicariously through our family, or if we have not been able to see ourselves from the outside and stepping into those experiences, exposing ourselves to potential risk. Um, because that's really what we do. Do we risk transference and countertransference? And I'm wondering if that's something with which you and your wife have struggled, um, or even if you struggle now. I beg your pardon, you're probably hearing thumping in the background. That's my large German Shepherd who's gotten tired of me trying to record this video. Um, Again, I thank you for this, and I applaud you for taking that experience and processing that these 14 years and now immersing yourselves and pursuing licensure. I wish that we could be in class together for a live interaction. I would love to pick your brain, as it were, and further expound upon your experiences. Um, Thank you. Thank you for sharing. I hope you are to share with you more as this in these last 2 weeks of class, and I wish you the best. Take care.